there's a lot of things that come up when I Google you. Politician, public servant, my Project USA director. How you identify yourself?
I am a compassionate mother
Okay.
and a public servant. I am definitely a servant leader who wants to empower, and a mother who wants to protect all children and have a just world for people.
Okay. What inspired that?
My faith. My faith inspires it. I believe that to be a good Muslim, I have to be a good human. And Islam is all about social justice. It's all about social justice. And I believe that if we want to really make a difference in the world, then we have to be in the front of and confront the injustice and address the injustice in our communities. So definitely, my faith is my main inspiration. And then secondly, when I do work in the community and I see those children who would be nowhere if we didn't do what we did in my Project USA and other work I have done, those children's successes, their smiles, they are such a big inspiration. I want to keep doing it. I want to do it again. Like even when I have faced a lot of, unfortunately, enemies in the work I do, because and then I see these children doing so very good. And I mean, just 4 days ago, three of our Hilltop Tigers coming from Wedgwood and South Park background have been chosen in Columbus Crew Academy. They'll be
Nice.
there. They are fully sponsored. And this is such a huge victory
Yeah.
for our community, for the children, and for my personal, time, that what else I could have done with my energy, my life, and my resources than empowering 3 children from a neighborhood that nobody really cares about.
That's a big accomplishment. Get sponsored by the Columbus Crew.
Yeah,
So 3 of them.
3 of them.
Nice.
Yes.
How old are they?
They are all under 12.
Okay.
Year 12, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. That's
Uh-huh.
That's good. I mean,
Yeah.
hopefully they will be able to change lives down the road and stuff. So what did you do this work before, or this is prior to my Project USA?
I believe that I'm a social justice warrior since I was a young adult.
Okay.
I have been an activist for justice all my entire life. I got this from my parents, who always, worked actively. I remember being an organizer for a fundraiser for Somali children in 1993, and I was like around 20 years old, 21. And from that time, when that was a time when we saw the picture from famine, that all the children were dying, and then there was Bosnia war, then there was Kosovo, Chechnya, all of that. So I have been involved in addressing violence and social justice issues since I was a very, very young person. So, but I went to TV production and mass communication for my education at NC State in 1995 when I came to America. In 1996 onward, I attended NC State and later worked on NBC 17, which was part of MSNBC in Raleigh, North Carolina, because I believed that Muslim community had to be in media. At that time, everybody was going for education, and I was sick and tired of CNN propaganda war from the Gulf War in 1990s, early 1990s, and all of that. So I believe that Muslims have to be in newsroom. So I went to college for that. I started my career, professional career in America in NBC 17 in Raleigh, North Carolina. And then later on, I worked for Community TV Raleigh, trained several community members there. And then I went to Pakistan because Pakistan started private channels in 2000. So that was right after I graduated. So in 2002, I went to Pakistan and I managed a TV channel there. I started my international IT and media business. I organized trade expos and tons of other things there, and came back in 2006. And that's when my husband was working in Comcast in Philadelphia. So we stayed there for 1 year, and we wanted to go back to Raleigh, North Carolina. But I kept asking God to take me where He needed me the most. And we got a call from Columbus, Ohio. So we came to Columbus in 2017. And first 5 years or so, I became involved in my mosque heavily, social justice again at my mind. I organized for Obama campaign, the Muslim community around Ohio. And then in 2009 to 2014, I launched a new project, national project to address domestic violence within Muslim community in response to a horrible murder in Buffalo, New York, from Bridges TV channel, if you remember.
How long was that ago?
It was in 2009, February, 12th February 2009, that this guy beheaded his wife in the channel's head office that he created to make better image of Muslims. So that was Muzammil Hassan and his wife Asiya Zubair. So he beheaded her, and I wrote a blog about it, which was picked by thousands of people around the world, but especially in American Muslim community, in which I asked question that why we don't vet people, why we don't ask men harder questions, and why do we just praise our celebrities regardless of their records on domestic violence.
So at the time you were here in Columbus?
I was here in Columbus. So I was reached out by a national organization, Darul Islam. They asked me to help them start a new project to address domestic violence in Muslim community. So I started in 2009, and for 5 years I worked with them, launched several teams all over the country. 8 different states we had our team, in which we were organizing and training imams, community leaders, community members to change the attitude toward domestic violence in Muslim community. And that's when in 2013, December, I learned about young girls being trafficked Muslim girls being trafficked from Columbus to Nashville and Minnesota. And I was shocked to hear that. And that's when
But there were nationalities. What nationalities were they?
There were 29 Muslim men, Somali Muslim men, were arrested in 2010, who were in Nashville, Tennessee, jail at that time when I learned about it. And I learned about it 3 years after they were arrested. And I was shocked to know that because nobody talked about it. We didn't hear any khutbah. We didn't know. So I was like, how in the world if this happened and this is happening in my own city, and we are in our masajid and our leadership and our conversations are not talking about it. So I dug more into it, and I learned that from the city attorney's office there was someone who helped with the investigation, and they told me that these girls said that they ran away from the parental abuse, and they were picked up by truck drivers who trafficked them. And I was like, oh my God, because when I came to America, I was 26-year-old with 2 children. So I was like, it was hard. Yeah. It's hard to raise children, and for everybody. But if you are in a country where you cannot even speak your language, English, or you don't understand, I'm talking about refugees, like even immigrants, when we come with our own choice, normally we plan for it, so we kind of prepared. But when refugees come out of a civil war, like we have seen Syrians and Afghans and Somalis and others, that's a different story, because everything is sudden and you are under trauma and all of that. But when I learned about it and I heard about parental abuse, then I felt like, we need to do something to support our parents. We need to do something to support our young people. Because if there is a dispute between children and parents, then we used to have our grandmas and our uncles and aunties and everybody when we were growing up. There we had extended family members. We would go to them. We would complain about our parents, and we would have somebody who would comfort us, and we would be back, right? But here, when you're in a different country and you don't have that support system, this could happen. And I don't say that if the kids say this is parental abuse, is it really? I don't think so. There are so many things that is just the not understanding of culture, that trauma of raising your child in a different country. So I felt as an immigrant mother of 3 daughters that there is so much that could be done in Muslim community to help parents and teenagers so they don't end up being trafficked or in anything else. We are hearing suicide a lot, and all kind of drugs and gangs.
Quickly
and
on the runaway, did your organization ever kind of sort of encounter with people that run away, kids that run away? Do you have a channel for them in a sense of that if there's a conflict with the kid and their parent and they have no place to go, is there a channel for through your organization that they can come through?
Such a good question. So my project USA was launched with that we will create a place where children can come and be comforted, or we can provide. So what we have done over these 10 years is that creating a space and have counseled tons of parents and have counseled tons and tons of children that if there is an issue, the running away is not an option. There are tons of other things, and for parents to have that conversation that if your child is not listening to you or there's something, you still have to look for good things. Yes. So we have been counseling a lot of children. We are also supporting homeless youth and going to have actually actively launching a new project to collaborate in collaboration with the Star House, which is an organization, it's a drop-in center for homeless youth, and many of them are run away from their families or coming out of foster care or other issues. So yes, my project USA has been on prevention side and also sometimes on intervention side in helping those children and young adult to find stability and avoid any of those issues that they could have if they didn't have somebody to support them.
It's a tough place for a kid to be.
Yes.
And it's interesting. Sometimes that I struggle with the questions of how will a kid do in a school if they have to worry about a place to sleep and as well as something to eat. So what type of a service? And this is just a general question, not necessarily to your organization, but how would a kid go through in life if they have to worry about the basic necessity just to stay alive?
Food, number one thing. Food, having a place to be warm in winter and cold, and cool in summer. Housing stability, food. These 2 are the top ones. Mental support, health, emotional support, all of that is also basic necessity for these children. What we have seen is that even when children are coming from, families, there are parents, but then the poverty is so
real
that so many parents are not even able to be around their children in daytime sometimes. So when we work in Wedgwood community or in South Park community, the common thing is you have so many children who are on their own in the daytime. So when we started my Reading Warriors program in 2016, it was out of the necessity that there were so many children out there without anybody in the daytime. And just recently, we have put about 30 children from 10 different families from one apartment complex because they were at the verge of being evicted because the children were constantly out. There was nothing, and parents could not afford to put them in certain programs or summer camps. So we took all of those children, put them in our program, and saved all of those 10 families from being evicted. So these are serious concern that in on the west side, in the hilltop area, we say that hungry children are easy prey because they are being used as drug mules by the drug dealers there. They could be lured into things by the pimps who are actually on the street there. The 40% of Columbus sex trafficking and drug deals happen on Sullivan Avenue, and that is a neighborhood where you have thousands of children. So we say in Hilltop area, an estimated number of 10,000 children are at risk of drugs, gangs, and violence, and human trafficking. So providing a safe space, having a center, you can walk in, you will be provided with food, you will be provided with hot meals, your parents can get week worth of groceries. This is a place where you can come for education. If you're back in your tuition or academic progress, we can help you. All of those things are taken care of. So for the safety of children and for the empowerment of children, all of these are important. One thing that our organization is
Wouldn't
facing,
you say these are like putting a band-aid on the issue? It's not permanent fixed, kind of sort of grazing the wound. There's deeper ways.
This is excellent question. When I started organization, I used to say that think beyond the soup balls, because I thought okay, kitchen, you give a sandwich, so the kid is hungry again. You give him lunch. So this is such a valid question. I believe that in the beginning of my work, because I thought I really want to provide the workforce development and other things that that the parents needs to be employed and everything. So I thought that those are my main thing, and never thought that one sandwich can change, until we were in a Salvation Army's conference, and a sex trafficking survivor who was trafficked for 30 so years, she was in that meeting, and she shared her personal story. So she said that she was 13-year-old, she was hungry, her parents were fighting, she was sitting outside, when somebody she knew from the neighborhood approached and said, "Oh, are you hungry?" And she shared her pain, and he got her food. And for next 7 days he got her food, and she was hooked to heroin in 1 week. And she was trafficked for 26 years. And that changed my whole perspective. From that point on, I understood that hot meals are important. So even though when we are doing the workforce development training, job trainings, helping parents to be better on their socioeconomic side, on their financial needs, we want to make sure that we also feed the children, we also take care of them, because hungry children are easy prey.
Yeah, hungry kids are easy prey.
Yes.
Yeah, hungry kids are easy prey.
To protect and empower children, you have to empower their parents.
Mm-hmm.
So financial stability is number one priority, right? But at the same time, urgent needs, our basic needs are also have to be met. So we look into the temporary, solutions, because they are urgent needs, and then we are looking into the long-lasting actual transformation of the families and empowerment from in the financial side, right? So our organization has served more than 400,000 people to this point since we started. We are serving 2,600 plus people every single week. So we have a food pantry, a soup kitchen, a full-fledged academic programming funded by Ohio Department of Education and Franklin County. We have about 300 children who we served. Last school year, we served 300 children on daily basis in different programming, from soccer club to 5 sites in different schools, including West High School, Briggs High School, and other in the Hilltop area. And then we also have programs like My Leaders, and we have started a free clinic on our site now. So we are also seeing patients. We have started My Reading Warrior program. We started it a long time ago. So all of these different initiatives some of them are daily basis, some are weekly basis, some are 4 times a week, but all together we are serving 2,600 plus individuals on every week basis. In that, originally we were serving Somali Bantu. 95% of my clients back in 2016 and 17 were Somali Bantus from Hilltop area. Right now, that demographic has changed. In our pantry, where we are serving more than 600 families, probably 40% or so are Hispanic community members. Another 40% are from Somali Bantus and others, and then 20% are mixed community, black, white, whatever, whoever is in our neighborhood. So the demographic has changed. On that side, we serve everybody. We also did ESL classes. We are doing ESL two ESL classes courses every year, and in which right now we are serving a lot of Hispanic people who are benefiting. Last year we served Afghani people who came from the civil war recently. So we did driving classes for them. But what we have seen and have evaluated that we need to specialize into empowering young people. So what you will be seeing from my Project USA going forward is that we might not be offering, for example, workforce development programs for adults. We will be focusing on 18 to 26-year-old demographic from all different backgrounds, but mostly immigrant and refugees. We look into 500% to 200% below poverty line people. Community members. 500
to 200.
If you take it like we have
from above down from
two. So let me say it again.
Okay.
We are addressing or we are serving community members who are 200% to 500% under poverty line. So there are people in our clientele whose annual income is $6,000 or less. So that is the poorest of the poor in the city that you can imagine. Helping them getting their daily needs met, but also how do you make sure that they are on their feet?
So now the services that you offer, is it an outside source that come in to kind of sort of partner with you, help you throughout, or that's all provided in-house from my Project USA? So now we talked about all the reading classes, the ESL classes, the driving classes. That 2,600 patient that comes through the doors of my Project USA, all that provided from in-house through my project, or that's additional partners that kind of sort of come in and do additional kind of complement of what you're already doing?
That's a very good question. So Hilltop Youth Empowerment Center, our main building on Sullivan Avenue, takes care of majority of these programs that we are taking. The soccer club happens, and we rent field for that. We also rent indoor space for that because we don't have a recreation space right now, so we rent fields, and those happen. The after school program, we partnered with 5 schools, so we had after school program being done in there. But we also had at our youth center, we also had extra tutors for those who were in, for example, soccer program. They might not be in that school. They would come to our center for those tutoring and academic support. The workforce development program has happened at our warehouse that we have. We call it 𝐷IA's warehouse. 𝐷IA's. It's named after Dia Barakat, from the UNC Chapel Hill, who was murdered in 2015.
Okay.
His father worked with us, and he donated some of that stuff, and he requested to name the warehouse on his son's name. So Dia. So Dia's family was my family friend from Raleigh, North Carolina. So the timing of our organization and his murder was on the same time.
Gotcha.
So we named our store on his name, and
to
honor him, and he was one of the best of his kind. 23-year-old young student going in dentistry and serving the community the same way. So anyway, a lot of workforce development happens at my 𝐷IA's warehouse, and recreation, as I said, happens outdoor. We will be partnering with the Star House, but that partnership, they will bring their clients to our site.
Okay.
So between the warehouse that we are turning into a youth success center, and the current Hilltop Youth Empowerment Center takes care of all of these programs that we offer.
So what inspired that as well, to go from community leader to be straight to a politician, and how do you see that changing your the work that you do for the poor people, put it that way?
I think it was completely in alignment because
Okay.
I am a public servant since beginning. I mean, for this last year, I have not been paid. This is not my salaried job. I don't take salary for this work. This is my charity. I have given my time. I have repurposed my life since I heard about Muslim girls being trafficked from Columbus. I repurposed my life. And started this organization. And have served in so many different capacities with the work we have done with several partners. What I learned is that at the end of the day, regardless how much a nonprofit can do or somebody can do charity, public policies matter. Where our funding is going matters. And I believe that a person like me who has fought for children being fed in the neighborhood where the public policy like USDA policies does not work for our neighborhood where there is gun violence. When they say that you cannot feed a child or give the food to a child to take their home, and when we are serving the food, there is active shooting happening.
Yeah.
So how do you feed a child outside on a sidewalk or on a field where there is shooting happening? I should be allowed to give food to that child so they take their home and eat there. Or I should be allowed to give their parents the food. But USDA does not allow it. And I am so upset. And for that reason, last year we went into kind of civil disobedience. And we said, I will feed people because I cannot deny it. So the reason I ran for Congress is because I believe that people who are not corrupt, people who are actual foot on ground, people who are public servant and who are sincere need to be in those spaces. And with an experience like mine, that what is happening on ground need to be in Congress because a lot of our funding, all of our policies that govern who is being fed and who is not. I don't know if many people know, I don't know if your audience know that when the winter coats come from governor's office or the winter boots come from governor's office, we are not allowed to give to any kid who doesn't have a social security number. We cannot, our TANF grants government, we've got several TANF grants last year and this year, earmark 200,000, 150,000 from Rankin County or whatever. We cannot use that money for a child who doesn't have a social security number for whatever reason. So you have food, as a nonprofit, you have food in your fridge, but you cannot feed it if the child doesn't have a certain thing. You cannot give this winter coat to a child if they don't have a social security number. And all of those and many other policies can be changed. So my reason of going in that direction is not because that in some way I love politics or I want to be in. I really believe that for the sake of social justice being served, for life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness and saying justice for all, you have to bring the right people in Congress and in Senate, U.S. Senate.
So is that a policy and a procedure that prevents a kid with no social security be
Yes.
allowed to get to? Okay.
Yes.
So that's
Yes.
so what do you say to the people that will say every politician before they while they run in office these are kind of sort of an bulletin points that they use, but once they get into office it's a lot much more difficult than they would expect, because it happens time and time.
It does happen, and I think it goes district by district. So for example, the District 15 that I was running for, that is my district, there were two options. So you have current congressman, and then you had this other person who came after me. The options we had, both of them, there is from this state rep that we have, there is nothing that being delivered in 7 years in the state house, right? So what I say to people is that you really have to look into people's character and the track record. Do not elect somebody just because they're a Democrat or they are a Republican or they are so-and-so. We need to really go case by case. And in my case, when I was running, and if I opt to run again in the next election.
Are you allowed to?
And I'm allowed to,
Okay.
yes, yeah.
Okay.
So if I opt to run or if I was running, you have to look into being a volunteer, not being an elected official. My impact on the district was already evaluated to $38 million. And I already had served 350,000 people. Track record. And it's documented not by me, it's documented by, a pantry tracker from Food Bank. Is audited by the auditors who are not paid, or who are third party people. So you compare it with other, and that's what I said to Columbus Dispatch when they were interviewing me. And I said, go and check with my opponent and ask them if they can give you 5 things that they have done, 5 tangible things. And they could not list 5 tangible things. They could not list 5 tangible things, and look at the list of accomplishment that I've done.
Yeah.
So I say that this is true that there are everybody that come, but then you have to look into the track record and the lifestyle of that person.
So what happened? Why did you not? Why did you not win?
I think some people, 20 people in Franklin County Democratic Party, they decided that they wanted to screen and endorse for the primary.
Okay.
This should not be the case. In the primary, there shouldn't be any endorsement by any party, because the Democrats are the only who were voting, and they should be. So once they put, their...
So just to make sure I understand that, so if the only Democrat people that are voting, and these are Democratic seats that are being competed for, so there should not be any
endorsement from a state party or county party, because let the candidate do their campaign, which is what we were doing. And I believe that some of them they put their choice there because particularly because of Gaza's issue. I was very vocal. Gaza started in October, and until then there was nobody who was running against me. I was the only candidate for that seat. And then I learned that this particular person, he decided to run, and he was then supported by those 3 or 4 people who made sure that they did endorsement. The interesting part is that they did not endorse anybody else at my level for any other seat. No other state district had any endorsement, only for and they let other district to do it, but in my case. So I believe that it was driven because of my being very vocal.
What was the margin?
The margin was so before I say what was the margin, I received, you have to remember that once they endorsed, they used party's money and party platform to promote themselves. So once their picture was on sample ballot and their name is on sample ballot, a lot of Democrats who did not do their own research, they just took that sample ballot and voted, and which is why I was against, and everybody else who believe in the fair primary was against that idea. I still receive about 37 to 38%, about 40%, depending on different side of the district, which is like 10,300 some votes that I received. And I am humble for that support. My opponent received 8,000 more votes than me, but then if you look into the way I ran, I raised more money. I was not somebody who was already an elected official. I received so much support and excitement. And a lot of my people from all different county platforms, they are telling me to run again. They are already making sure that I don't give up, which I'm ready for. If there is a need, I will stand up again, because my fight is for the children I serve.
What was the most lessons that you learned from it, from the campaign? So this was your first campaign, correct? So what did you learn from it?
I definitely learned that you cannot in politics you cannot trust even your friends that you think that they are your friends. In politics, you have to save your back, you have to be smart, and you have to play very smartly. And definitely.
So would you say it's a dirty game?
It is a dirty game. It is a dirty game, and it's very sad and frustrating. Especially, we always expect, this is between, for example, Republican and Democrats, it could be dirty. But the sad part for this whole thing is that, there are two layers of it. One is that there were some people who played dirty games. They spread rumors against me. They spread whispers. There was a whole whisper campaign about, that how bad I am, or things like that. All false accusations that don't make any sense, but people would listen to it. But then
perception
the sad
versus
part,
reality, right?
Yes, but the sad part is the silence of good people. The silence of good people is the bad part. Because, yes, there were these 4 or 5 people who masterminded it. I raised enough questions. I sent, notifications, and I did everything to expose them, to talk about it. But the people reached out to me.
Yeah.
And people were supporting me. But then these Franklin County Democratic Party executive committee members and other leaders, and they all supported me. They voted for me. They've sent me the pictures of their ballots, but they did not speak up. They did not speak up until it was like, until this day. And that's the sad part, because I think the impact is going to be at the election, which because we talked about, this is a mixed district. In this district, you have more Republicans and more independent than Democrats themselves. So how do you get the independent voters to vote for you?
Yeah.
And my thing is, you have two white men, both are politicians. So who is somebody that these independent voters would be looking for? Somebody who is genuine, somebody who has done the work and who has a track record. So between two white men politicians, if you had Zerqa Abid in the middle, then there is an obvious choice. And I know we are very close to the general election. We will see what happens. So a lot of talking that I'm doing right now is what my understanding and how we looked at the numbers. And we will see very soon, what happens. But I think the saddest part and the discouraging part was silence of my friends who did not speak up, who did not raise questions, who did not ask anything.
Did you approach on a one-on-one level?
I did.
Okay.
I did. And the
what was
sad
the feedback
part,
you got?
Yeah, so many, because, there are two issues. The problem is that, a lot of them also have their own non-profit causes. So how do you say things about people who are actual elected officials right now, even though they are party members, but they are also, a lot of them are on different positions within the Franklin County. So if, so that fear of losing that support also keeps us quiet. That fear of yes, I know this is right, but then I don't want to be, I don't want to be in front of that supporting.
Yeah,
right?
the first person to come
So
out.
that's the thing, and I think that's the thing that needs to be changed. And I don't know if it will change.
Yeah,
I really don't know.
I think that's the challenge.
So I don't know. I'm not sure if I'm going to be running from Democratic, platform next time.
Okay.
I'm not sure if I will take that route, because I'm running for, or I am serving my community, and
It's
my
pretty much
fight
what
is
you,
for
what
my
you're
community.
saying is just it leads you to nowhere.
In what way?
No. Just basically based on the discussion that you and I are having right now. So the sad part is for the good people not to speak about. So in the event that you are the same predicament, the same situation, now then what are the chances for the good people to speak again? So it leads you to nowhere. That's what I mean.
Yeah,
Would you agree on that? Or?
The thing is that for the district, it's a sad thing.
Right.
Because it's one thing that I didn't win, completely okay, acceptable. But it's a different thing when this happened because the primary was all, was not a fair primary. So that's the thing. If we had a fair election, if we had nobody was endorsed, if we did it, it would be no problem.
Yeah.
Whatever are the results, let's take it. But when you are seeing that somebody has raised 200,000 plus for campaign and the other person has raised nothing, like very small amount, right? And they're showing their numbers by loaning to themselves, loaning, not even donating, loaning to their campaign and things like that. When you look into those numbers and you know that the other party has just won because they were on, supported, and the Franklin County party spent money on their campaign. They didn't even run their own campaign. How are you expecting for them to go and run a decent campaign in general election against a congressman who has already $1 million in their account, right?
Yeah.
So that's, the thing is, if it was a fair primary, we would know what was the result and we would be at peace. Because it was not a fair primary, and then because the good people didn't say anything about it publicly. They said a lot of things privately, but they didn't do anything. And a lot of my friends completely disappeared because whatever fear they had to be, because, what it takes us to that, which is why either the good people will not come and participate in the politics, or the good people will not come and join a particular party. So, for example, if you go and you run as an independent, it's gonna hurt a party anyways. It's gonna hurt because all the time the third party person or an independent candidate is gonna take your votes away. So that's not a good recipe.
Mm-hmm.
And especially in Ohio, where you have so much gerrymandering right now, where you really cannot afford to have divided votes. This is not a good strategy for Franklin County Democratic Party. And we will see how it goes, because the way Hilliard has turned blue or Dublin has turned blue, not because there are more white supporters, white men voting for Democratic Party, it's because of immigrant and refugees. It's because the people of color who are here, and especially Muslim community, is a big reality of District 15.
So did Muslim folks that are in a position to make a difference, did you get the support?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I mean, of course,
Okay.
my community, Muslim community, has been extremely upset on what's going on in Gaza nonstop, and we know it, and we talk about it, and we reached out, and not just Muslim, all fair-minded people, a lot of Jewish young people, especially young people, and old people who are fair-minded, who understand it, they are upset on what's going on. So in this climate, now that we know that we have a new presidential candidate and a whole campaign that has brought a lot of excitement, but with President Biden being on the top ticket until this 2 weeks ago,
he's no longer
it
the top
was
ticket now,
it was a chaos, and we will see how much VP Harris can really catch up now. But I think for Franklin County Democratic Party in Ohio to take a route and let 20 people of endorsing screening committee members and some 2 or 3 top people who decided, and everybody said yes, and people just took it even though they didn't like it. They followed the rules and they didn't support. I think there is a lot of learning for them.
It's I don't know who learned so much, if the Franklin Democratic Party or you learned so much about your campaign. So now you mentioned something very important that I just kind of want to sort of circle back to. So in the event that the opportunity presents itself that you might be running again, what do you mean by you might not run through the platform of the Democrat?
I am watching right now. I am watching. I have all my options open.
Okay.
I am watching. I am all of course, I have to wait for what happens in November. The November results are very
That is
important.
a driving
That's,
force
I pray that, the Democratic Party wins, because regardless, I know that the domestic policies to a lot of other things, our, Democratic Party is the one we need. As a Muslim mother who cares for children, I am extremely upset for the genocide that's going on, and that has taken lives of more than 30,000 children only, and so many others. So with all of that, those facts in front of us, we have to, I am not, excited about one way or the other way. I am going to watch. I will keep an eye. I will see what VP Harris does and what happens. And then, of course, but I'm going to keep my options open. I am not going to trust the people who I thought that they were my friends. Because I've seen that so many of them, good people, unfortunately, did not have a spine to speak the truth or to talk about, what needs to be done on the time when it mattered.
We'll just leave it at that.